So our group decided to do a presentation on Washington State football for a couple of reasons. Um, we've all been a part of the football program, either currently or at one point during our careers here at Washington State. So it was something that we all already had previous experience in, and it's something that we think really does a lot of good for the community in Pullman and is really beneficial. And we wanted to dive a little bit more into it. So here we go. Our landing page right here is just a picture of the stadium, Washington State football, obviously. Scroll down, and we go straight into the history. And a little bit about the history is the school opened obviously in 1890, but the first football team wasn't fielded for another 4 years. So when the teams were first fielded, it was the beginnings of football. So the game was a lot different. The teams were a lot smaller, and the coaches weren't paid. So it was kind of just something that people came together to do, more like a club than the business that we see it as today. In its first season, it had a 500 record. Washington State went 1-1, and they won their first ever game against the University of Idaho. So right across the border, pretty cool for our first win. Since then, we joined the Pac-12, originally the Pac-8, then the Pac-10, now the Pac-12, a conference where we get to play against the same teams every year and get to compete on the West Coast, which is super cool. So we've had a couple really great coaches throughout our history. Mike Price, who is probably the most famous coach that we've ever had, led Washington State to a lot of really, really great years. And then most recently, Mike Leach, who led us to a ton of bowl games, I think 5 or 6 straight bowl games, and has done a lot of really good for the program, brought a lot of attention to Washington State and Pullman, Washington, and did a lot of great things just for the community as a whole. Here we have some historical artifacts. So right here, this is a picture of the Legends Lounge, or the Gray W, as like the football players call it. That's where we have training table. It's where we eat. We get to come together, a couple times a day and just see some familiar faces throughout the middle of football season or off season, whenever it is. Um, so yeah, the Gray W is super cool. This is a picture of the end zone of our football field before the Cougar football complex was made. So it's kind of cool to get to reflect and see how different it is now, because obviously now we have a huge building right here and no scoreboard, and the field, everything just looks a little bit different. So you can tell how the program has evolved and how the history has kind of taken it that way. So here, the current work, the biggest thing that's happened currently for Washington State football is the addition of the Cougar football complex. So it is in the end zone, and that's where all football operations are. The coaches' offices are there, the locker rooms are there, the weight room is there, the nutrition, the Gray W, everything is there. So most of the days for the football players are spent, in the Cougar football complex, and it's been really beneficial. It's allowed Washington State to kind of compete a little bit better in recruiting and get some better players, and has just made the whole program. It's elevated it to levels that they didn't think they'd be able to. So on game days, the big boosters and stuff can go in there, watch the game, get to be around the team, and it helps generate funds for the program and for the university. Here's just some more artifacts of it. Obviously, these are two of the pictures of the football stadium now with the CFC in the background. You can see it there. You can see it there. See how different it is there from here. It's came a long way, and it wasn't cheap, but it has had a huge benefit for the whole program and the school. Some other pictures, CFC there. This is the kind of the Legends Lounge area where you can walk in, and there's all the records, all the history, just a ton of great stuff that you can find here. So that's a big part. Our exhibit goals shows a lot about kind of what Washington State football is all about. And obviously, with Pullman being such a college town and such a small, tight knit community, it's a super big part of everything that we do here in Pullman. So it's a big honor, and it's a big you know challenge to get to be a part of that and get to uphold what past generations have set the path to be already. Just here in the past decade or so, Washington State has gone from being, just that school over in Eastern Washington to, one of the, top 25 football team almost every year. So with our new head coach that we just hired, Nick Rolovich, and the new direction that the program is going, we're really excited for what's possible and what the future of the program can hold. We Our goals in a thing that just I feel like is a part of Pullman as a whole, especially Washington State football, is just kind of the blue collar. Nothing is ever handed to us. Just go out and work and get it. And I think that's something that it starts with a football program, and it kind of can seep into the whole community. That's just the way that Pullman is. So we go down here. Here's a couple more of the artifacts, kind of like what we were talking about. There's the CFC, and a really old picture of us, in one of our first seasons. And then like here's our weight room, and the weight room is kind of where we establish that mindset that we kind of take into the community, and we try to influence people, and we try to be a part of the community. So much community service work and stuff goes along with that, and it all starts, with our coaches in the building, kind of establishing that. One of our biggest things that we wanted to feature was in 1915, we went to our first Rose Bowl, and we actually won it against Brown. And while that was, over 100 years ago, it's just it's a huge accomplishment for anyone to be able to win a Rose Bowl, which is like the end goal for any Pac-12 football team. So it was really, really cool, and it's kind of something that the program continues to strive to be like again, and it's just been great. Here's Mike Leach, and I feel like this quote right here kind of embodies what he brought to Pullman and what it was all about. He brought so much excitement, so much energy. We're obviously super thankful for Coach Leach. And here's the contact me page. Thank you for watching our presentation on Washington State football, and I hope you have a great day.